just got to amend my Twitch title. 1 second.
Yeah, get that right. And you're recording via OBS, and we'll be able to upload straight after.
Yeah, I just do it through Twitch.
Oh, cool, sweet. Okay, awesome.
All right. Just editing the title, boys. I'm here with Simkoff. Say hello to the stream, Simkoff. How you doing, man?
G'day, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Pretty excited.
It should be a good game.
Oh man, should be fantastic. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the decks, but
I know Mind'sDesire's deck pretty well because I've played around with it on Jigoku, but I haven't looked at the pimittens, I don't think.
So we're Global Discord League Season 4. It's the Cup. Top 8.
This is the Cup. Yep.
Yeah. So we got Dragon Player, Mind'sDesire, well-known caster.
Passionate about L5R, safe to say.
Very passionate. Yeah. Versus, and he's just come off defeating Heinzel in the top 16. Heinzel was playing Scorpion.
Yeah, Heinzel's a gun as well, so that's a hard one to win.
Yeah, so that's shows quite a lot of credit there for Mind'sDesire. Like, I think Scorpion's a terrible matchup for Dragon, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then we have pimittens, or is it pimittens? I don't know if you know the pronunciation.
Must be pimittens, right?
Pimittens, just like 3.1416 mittens.
Oh no, Satoshi Wars.
It is Satoshi Wars.
So
and he's playing Crab. And he's just come off. He just beat Grody, the Lion player.
Yeah, which from what I understood from the Lion chat, that was a fairly close game as well. I think all of these games in the Cup have been quite tight. There have been very few blowouts from what I've seen. It's been really, really tough competition.
I think because everyone's been playing with the first arc for so long now that the people are getting past the trying to discover what are the right meta decks or what's comfortable with them, and now they're now really that sort of fine tuning phase of the meta where it's been the same card pool for almost 3 months now. So I think we're now starting to see these best players, these amazing players who have made really high runs or really deep runs in the Cup starting to shine. Really subtle plays, but you can't just. I think people are now realizing these players here is, if someone draws 3 Pathfinder's Blades against you, it's not the end of the world, and they've realized to calm their farm and figured out ways of being able to play, counterplay, and adapt to what's going on in the board, and not feel like they're in a lost position so early.
Yep. All right. I think I'm going to tell these guys they're good to go because I guess they were waiting on us. I just didn't do it. Sorry, stream.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah. So I agree with that statement. I think that the level that we're playing at these top end games, it's like the basics are taken for granted. Both players are going to play extremely good fundamentals, and it's about exploiting tiny edges in little things throughout the game, and that's why they're so exciting to watch for me personally. I just love them. But I've been speaking to. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you think back to a few seasons ago, the average length of the games was more around the 90-minute mark, and now we're starting to see a lot of the games are finishing under an hour, and that kind of just shows you that the players are a lot more comfortable with their decks. They're a lot more comfortable with the many different spots that they get put in.
Yep. So I was speaking to Mind'sDesire. Well, he's very vocal about this. This matchup is perhaps Dragon favored when there's no Karada by a little bit, and then when Karada District shows up, it can swing pretty hard the other way, or it has a potential to. So seeing Satoshi turn 1 for pimittens is a pretty good omen for him, I think. And Mind'sDesire elects to pick up his own Satoshi.
We've just seen Satoshi used, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It was the 11th card, so 10 cards have landed in the. I could have just looked at the 10 on the discard dynasty card pile instead of counting them. The counter, I've just realized.
But no, interestingly, 2 favorable grounds have hit the bin, so those aren't going to be in play most likely this game.
Swordsmith, a Yakuni.
Nothing that big that he lost. He lost 2 Red Sugus, but he's not that big of a deal in this matchup.
No Knitten Masters. But I think the point is that the closer you get to the Karada District... Oh, actually, hold on. Sorry, that's a Dragon player doing the Satoshi. I'm so Satoshi confused.
All right, so we see a skirmisher coming through, and we're going to get a coverted conflict. I imagine he's going to covert the Doom Shigenja. and try and force him to use Satoshi in a bad position. Oh, he's just thinking about it.
So what do you in the dragon? If we're on Mind'sDesire, thinking through Mind'sDesire here, was flipping Satoshi first up. Was that good? Like, you would have preferred a Knit and Master, I guess.
It's a good question. I think it's probably the weaker of the potential Voltron targets you can get early on. It's probably one of the weaker ones. I think it's kind of thrown into Dragon. To be honest, I'm not sure it's actually that useful in Dragon. I know though. He is running Imperial Palace and 2 Censures, so maybe getting that online is part of his goal, Mind'sDesire's goal. But yeah, I think personally, I'd much prefer to see a Niten Master or a Reitsugu or any of those, even the Champion probably.
So yeah, I think the Imperial. So there's 3 Imperial storehouses, 1 Imperial Palace, and 3 Satoshis. So there's 7. Imperial cards.
This is interesting. We're seeing a preemptive reprieve thrown on the Shug. That's going to be the first. So this is a military void conflict, and first action is just throwing down the reprieve. This is just to stop assassinate.
Stop assassinate. Okay,
it's to ensure that he can get this water conflict off and try and ready his Satoshi, is my guess. And then we see a pass. Okay, so it looks like Mind'sDesire wants to win this conflict. He definitely doesn't want to lose this void conflict. That would be pretty disastrous. Playing this reprieve on the Shigenja signals to me that he's got another one. Because if worst comes to worst and he loses this conflict, he's going to have no fame on Satoshi.
That seems tactical rather than strategic, right? Like,
yeah,
generally, reprieve, you'd want to save that for, a Voltron up Sumiko or Knitten Master, or one of the larger folk.
I think it's not so bad on a character like Doom Shigenja because it is a 3/3, and then you just get her around an extra turn. But yeah, like you said, the big benefit of doing it is this turn. It's this immediate conflict actually.
So it's trying to accelerate, like give Mind'sDesire a really strong turn 1.
Yep. And we're seeing Satoshi go off, and 2 keepers actually hit the bin. So that's a pretty big deal. What else have we lost? 2 witch hunters. That's pretty gross.
Shurujisuki. Yeah. So they've both kind of smashed their Dynasty deck to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, that was... How many cards was that? That's a lot.
15.
Far out.
There was 10 lost from Mind'sDesire and 15 from... pimittens.
So
but I guess
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, how far do you dig for your Karada if you're pimittens? If it's the bottom card, you keep going, right?
Yeah, I think I would use
pay
it.
The 500 a cycle.
I would use it at least one more time, Satoshi. I haven't done the Imperial card count in his deck, but I would do it at least one more time. Because it is such a big deciding factor in this matchup. It's like it really is a silver bullet.
He's got 1 storehouse, 1 palace, 1 Karada district. So that's 3 plus the 3.
So 6. Yeah, that
Satoshis.
6 is pretty normal.
Yeah.
So Mind'sDesire, like all good Dragon players, has sort of kept a bit of Fate reserve even on the first turn. He actually had at least 3 Fate banked, which has enabled him to sort of play these cards like Reprieve and Tattooed Wanderer to get the edge in this conflict. And we're seeing a policy debate, which is just straight up to 1 bids because there's a 3 skill differential. And we got Censure, Court Games, Finger of Jade, Ornate Fan, and there's the second Reprieve.
Yeah, so you're right there, the second Reprieve, so it's not so bad to use that first one. Although, are we thinking that Reprieve is going to disappear? Is that the obvious choice?
It's tough. I think Court Games is a good choice too, because Mind'sDesire still has that. It depends on whether or not Pimittens thinks he can win this conflict, which it doesn't look like he can. An Honored Satoshi is far worse than a standard one, and he's got a duplicate in the row there, so maybe Reprieve's not that big of a deal. I don't know. And he's also is Pimittens running calling in favors?
He is not. His splash is very interesting. He's got 3 Fate Worse Than Death. He's got 3 Meek Informants and 1 I Can Swim. That I Can Swim is something that I'm sure that Mind'sDesire is going to have in the back of his head for.
That's really cool. I like that. I like that, having one of them. So he's gone all out like character nuke, which is pretty cool. So he does discard the court games.
Character nuke plus information, right? So the 3 meek informants and the 3 policy debates means that Pimittens is always, should theoretically always have a really good idea of what's in Mind'sDesire's hand.
Yeah, he's prioritizing the information game.
So that's really smart. Like, to do that, you got to back yourself, right? Because by playing your meek informants, 3 meek informants, they're quite a weak, obviously extremely weak stats, and they're all about intel. So by filtering your deck, diluting your deck a bit and playing 3 of them, what you're actually, I guess the gambit there is you feel that you're a strong enough player that if you have that information, you're going to really be able to just get those edges that you need to close out the game.
And we're seeing a rebuild here, and he's going to send Satoshi away. So he realizes he can't actually prevent this province from breaking, and he wants to go swinging again at that manicure. So there's it's looking like Mind'sDesire is going to be able to secure favor here, which is going to mean that censure is going to be on next turn as well, which is somewhat important. Shout out to Rumen in the chat for pointing that out. Yeah, Meek Informant, man. I think it's especially good in Crab because you can just you play it, you get to initiate a conflict if you need it to, or it adds a skill, whatever, and then you can sacrifice it to shit like Funeral Pyre or Steadfast Witch Hunter or any other effects. It's just really, really, really synergistic for that clan. So it's political Earth conflict, and Mind'sDesire has had enough. He wants to just win this one on defense, and we see it court games. And pretty quick, man. These guys are playing these conflicts quick. Pass.
So Mind'sDesire has absolutely dominated this turn. He's won all 3 conflicts, and he's claimed the Imperial favor. It's pretty rough for Pimittens, but
and he had that sweet cancel for the Shameful, which was pretty big.
Yeah, Pathfinder's so strong.
So this is going to be a bit of a damage control turn for Pimittens. He's going to try. First of all, he's got to find an answer to that second reprieve, and then he's going to try and get this board to wipe and just survive for a little bit.
Oh, that was a bit disappointing for Paul Pimittens. He used Satoshi, and he just found another Satoshi. Not that missed the Karate District still. Yeah. So I think he's very much hoping to get Karate District online next turn. He was hoping this turn.
I don't think he can risk using it again. I mean, how many Imperial cards we're looking at here? There are 2 Satoshis in the bin.
All right, well,
and 1.
Here's the counter, right? He's at 13 honor, right? So risking 5 honor to reshuffle your dynasty, is 5 honor worth having? Is if you had the option for an ability on a card that said lose 5 honor, put Karate District in play against Dragon, like, it's potentially not horrible. I mean, 5 honor is a lot of honor.
That's a fair point, actually.
So
these swordsmiths are just going to start doing so much fucking work, man. They just got a Kitsuki's Method and an Ornate Fan.
Yes. So having 2 swordsmiths on turn 2 is extremely powerful. This is a steamroller of a start from Mind'sDesire.
Yeah, this is one of those positions that Crab often find themselves in, I feel like, where they're under the pump. And it really is about navigating these sort of like middle turns into to drawing out the game and where they can win the attrition war. So we'll see if he's able to do it.
So what's your plan? If you're Pimittens, what are you prioritizing this turn?
I just don't want 2 provinces to break, and I'm hoping that I can. I'm playing second, so I'm just going to be defending for most of the turn. Here we go. We get to have a look at his hand. There's not much new in there. There is a Fury.
Fury, yeah.
Another Wanderer. 2 reprieves. So he's seen all 3 reprieves. That's pretty fucking vile.
All 3 reprieves. He's got 2 swordsmiths in play. He's got a Satoshi Kick, who's really kitted up. A Doom Shigenja, which has managed to stay around until turn 2. Like, this is kind of the dream. Almost, if that Satoshi was a Nitten Master, that would be kind of the dream start.
Yeah, I agree.
It's been, Satoshi not quite as good as Nitten Master, but I think having the 2 extra swordsmiths for that extra card draw and 3 reprieves plus the Pathfinder's Blades has really made up for it.
And the turn 1 turn from Pimittens was like, he really didn't achieve what he wanted to achieve. He couldn't even win a ring.
No, 3 conflicts.
And he's dumped 70% of his deck and still hasn't found the card he's looking for. We do see a Watch Commander hit the table, which is pretty good card in this matchup. It's not the best because the Dragon player can kind of just play all his attachments before the conflicts begin, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
So Largeness and Rumen are talking in chat. Yeah, they're saying that he'll just take the honor hit to find Karada.
Oh,
yeah, I think you're right.
That was my thoughts. I think the especially with the way that mentally that Mind'sDesire talks about it, is it's such a huge advantage for the crab player to have that against the dragon player. Like dragon players, Karada District is brown pants day.
Pimittens actually manages to win this conflict, which is very important. Winning at least one conflict on defense like this when you're really under the pump, it's just crucial. And so we're going to see probably... What are we going to see here? Probably a water conflict. Maybe he wants the Fate. We don't really know what's in his hand yet, so maybe he wants that one Fate on the air. He's going for Earth, so Mind'sDesire really has to overcommit to defend here, or he risks having 3 Keeper Initiates pop up. Okay. He's going for the Feast play instead. Interesting. This is interesting. So he's conceding 3 Keeper Initiates, but he's going to suck all that Fate off Satoshi, and probably going to load up that Doom Shigenja. It's pretty gross. The thing is, Pimittens can just favorable ground away.
You can favorable ground out.
Yeah, so he's giving Pimittens the option of which he'd prefer. To lose the conflict and get away, or to
so
to get
favorable
keepers.
Will be fine. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not worth it, right? At this point, I think if Satoshi gets sucked of Fate, you just lose.
Oh, he must protect Satoshi.
This is where you wish you had a calling in favors, and you just slide that method away, and then you win. You win by 1 skill. I love this play. Like seeing this sort of shit happen because of for Feast or Famine. You see some crazy stuff. I had a guy assassinate his own character the other day.
Yeah, I think we've all been in that spot where it just seems like you'll do some drastic action.
Even the players are talking about it. Yeah, it's a funny play.
Yeah, Pimittens is tempted.
I think you got to run away.
Victory condition wise, is by default crab are generally after the conquest, but is this going to be seems like Mind'sDesire loves his high bids. Will this be a wait and see how attrition goes for in a couple turns time, maybe Dishonor Victory becomes a thing, or is Pimittens thinking about pushing that now, because it seems like conquest is going to be very difficult for him.
He's going to have to increase his bid count.
Yeah.
Just because these swordsmiths are going to lift so hard if he doesn't. So he does elect the favorable ground away. I think that's the correct call.
Yeah.
Mind'sDesire talking mad shit.
Wow, that's some trash talk. Didn't realize this was a coward stream.
Really harsh, but fair. I love that. The dragon player who's got the secret fire fucking roll calls other people a coward for not attacking into Resto and Feast.
Oh, God.
Shane Ruman saying that he had to pay 2 to Fury his own crone against Mind'sDesire last cup. Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Pay 2 to Fury your own crone. That's horrible.
Alright, so we're seeing an all-in, because this Meek Informant is counting 0 glory and is unable to participate in the remainder of the conflicts for the turn, so he's just throwing everybody in. Yeah, and it's going to be a quick manicured into pass. And he's actually gained 2 with the airing. So this says to me that he's going to be bidding high still. He's just going to keep putting the pressure on.
Which I think is a smart play. Look, Mind'sDesire, I think his sort of main priority here is he absolutely has the momentum at the moment. He's got the two swordsmiths. He just needs to capitalize on that, bid high, steamroll, try and close this game out in 2 turns. Take a province next turn, take the box the turn after.
Oh man, we see the mendicant goes in. Oh no, he's just Satoshi'd. Okay, so Imperial Palace is going to hit the table. He was already winning the favor though, so doing that out of order is not that big of a deal. Yeah, I mean, that was the bad turn, right? This turn coming up is going to be a little better for Pimittens, although that Sumiko flip is pretty vile. He's gonna want a fate worse than death. We do know that Mind'sDesire has the Mind'sDesire does have the Finger of Jade, so I imagine we're going to see Satoshi get used.
And Sumiko has hit the table for Mind'sDesire.
Yeah.
His Bay, self-proclaimed Bay.
That's fucking gross.
Oh my god.
Karada needs to hit the table.
Fate.
If Karada doesn't hit the table this turn, I think Pimittens is going to get poleaxed. Yeah. He's just got a Satoshi.
And what are we thinking about Sumiko placing 3 Fate?
Well, I mean, he's been doing really well with his Fate management. He's still got 3 in reserve. I think it's fine. I think actually it's actually preferable against Scorpion Splash because of Fate Worse than Death.
Yeah, keep around for a few extra turns. But I think if we look at it, this turn is Sumiko's the only person with Fate on them. I think there's another reprieve in Mind'sDesire's hand, so I guess we're going to have a couple characters.
There are actually 2 more in his hand, and there's also at least 1 Finger of Jade, and he's still not getting it. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be the last Imperial card.
No Karada! Oh my god. Where is it? Where is this damn card? Oh.
And that Finger of Jade, given that he's not playing given that he's not playing he's going to have to. It's pretty savage.
I'm sorry, This is one of the. This is your.
If he makes it out of this turn without suffering too much damage, he's going to be alright for a bit. Because next turn to our first player, a lot of these characters are going to leave play.
Well, I think 3 of them are staying around, right? Only 2 are leaving play.
Yeah, I guess. Well, it depends on how he wants to spend his reprieves.
This is a bit of a massacre. I'm sorry, Playman. This is not the best game for you, unfortunately. 2 Watch Commanders, though. 2 Watch Commanders can do some damage, right?
Yeah, and at this point in the game, we expect to see a charge on this Casada, I think. Also, these Heater Guardians are going to be giving him +8 in conflicts
so
this turn.
Is by no means out of this game at all. It's just going to require some very careful maneuvering.
Yeah. Rumen also brings up that there's a censure.
Yeah, there's a censure in hand, right? So that does mean that that charge, he will need a second charge. Because I'm sure Mind'sDesire is anticipating a charge.
So Pimittens has wisely passed his conflict opportunity. And we're seeing the second Tattooed Wanderer hit the table, and this time it's going to be an attachment. And that's... A coverted Sumiko is so disgusting, and she's got a Pathfinder's Blade. There you go. You know, it's amazing, that first flip for the crab. You're like, oh, Satoshi, this is good. I'll go fetch his Karada. And it's turn 3, and he's about to lose his 3rd province, and we still haven't seen it. And there's 9 cards left in his deck. It's pretty gross.
Yep.
I'm wondering if... I know in this particular matchup, like, calling in favors is pretty hot, but I don't know what the cost is versus the rest of the field if you include it. You know, losing a Meek Informant or 2 or one of the Fate Worse than Deaths. It's kind of tricky to balance that.
Meek Informants probably help get him there. I do love the arrogance and brass and bold ambition of Mind'sDesire to take on this Imperial Palace, leaving Casada just in the province. Like, he wants to protect the favor. Thinks that the extra 2 province strength from the Imperial Palace is not going to be a problem.
And he
Even with
coverts Satoshi, which is kind of curious because both of these Guardians are going to do some serious work. They're actually going to be able to give +6/+6 each now.
okay.
Well, he's rebuilt away Quesada, so Quesada's gone.
Do you think that's so? What's is Mind'sDesire really is holding that censure just for the charge? Is there another key action, or is charge really it?
Well, a fate worse than death, although he's got a Finger of Jade.
Yeah.
There's nothing really
Got a
else.
Finger of Jade.
He could have cancelled the rebuild, right, if he wanted to.
He could have, but I think you're right. The fate worse than death's actually quite a scary action. So
Thing is, he's got that finger, so I don't know. It's an interesting choice. So we see both Guardians go off, and this is going to be a successful defend, which is pretty impressive.
yeah, this turn is working out almost as well as it could have for pimittens so far.
Largeness makes a good point. He says if your matchup relies on a limit 1 per deck silver bullet, you probably can't feel bad if you don't see it. Yeah, it's fair. And we see the Meek Informants. We get to have another look at Mind'sDesire's hand. Censure, Reprieve, Banzai, Reprieve, 2 Furies, and a bunch of attachments, and another Skirmisher. It's a pretty good hand, I would say. And actually, hang on a sec. Pimittens won on defense and defend the wall, right? But he didn't elect to use the effect and remove a fate from Sumiko?
Mind'sDesire sacrificed Pathfinder's Blade to cancel.
Oh, of course. Yeah, sorry, I just missed that. Good one.
I'm just reading text off the screen.
Fucker. I was reading Twitch chat.
Yeah.
I'm fucking dual screening, man.
Man, you just get you concentrate in the game.
Part of the 1%, bro. Dual screening. Alright, so we see an political Earth conflict. So he could, if he wanted to, he could shoot in Satoshi with favorable ground.
To why?
To get 3 Keeper Initiates.
3 Keeper Initiates and lose and keep a Swordsmith around for an extra turn.
Yeah, he doesn't do it.
I'm not sure.
He needed an ornate fan. That's what he needed.
Yeah. Or to have attacked the what do you call it? The Manicure Gardens. Ornate fan would have been perfect, yeah, in that spot. Nicely balanced the force totals.
I think at this point, given that Mind'sDesire is going to be able to break this province coming up, there just isn't enough time for Karada to actually work, because he's like 1 attachment a turn isn't going to do it at this point. He's got too many attachments in play. It really feels like a bit of a hammerlock now.
Yeah.
And he's also spent 2 of his rebuilds. So if Karada does end up, if Karada flips on a broken province, it's just going to get discarded. This is really, really pretty savage position for the crab.
Oh, Mind'sDesire has just said, wait. Do we think there may have been a Jigiku issue? Oh, he's just asked. Mind'sDesire press pass and has asked for a little bit of forgiveness from Pimittens to be able to play in action.
We've all been there.
Yep. Oh, Pimittens is wondering whether or not he will or not. Oh, he's been friendly.
Well, this way, if you allow him to do it when Mind'sDesire wins, you can claim the win was illegitimate because he had to...
Put an asterisk, right?
Yeah,
it's really
it,
strong.
yeah.
You always put an asterisk on that win.
So he throws the reprieve down on the loaded up Swordsmith, which is understandable. Take backs, yeah.
The Swordsmith is a bit crazy. So, Reprieve and Pathfinders both do not have the restricted keyword. Comments?
I think worse than that is that they're both one fucking influence.
Yeah, seems like a great package, right?
I mean, it's an incredible
Great splash package.
suite, and it's exactly what Dragon kind of needs. Like, if you look at what they were trying to do,
Oh yeah.
you'd be insane to play any other splash, in my opinion, in Dragon. All right, so Satoshi's in. I mean, this is an impossible defense, right? It's a
So
it's a
what's the reason you're playing Satoshi here, to try and make him lose a couple of points of honor with Watch Commander? Hopefully, I don't know. Like,
I think
what's the game plan?
you're gonna lose. You don't have another conflict. You're gonna lose favor anyway. You might as well make it a fight.
Policy debate, maybe. I mean, they've all got incredible amounts of political skill.
Yeah. Pass.
Okay. So
Satoshi's gonna
Mind'sDesire
get.
is now on box.
He's gonna get another reprieve.
Yep. There you go.
Ugh.
Ugh.
It's just one of those games, you know.
Yeah. It's very, very difficult to stop this train. This Dragon steam train. It's very tough as well because, like, none of the cards are hidden. It's all face up. It's like, look, you can see your doom. The doom is on the table. You can see it. You just have to accept it.
I think ultimately what gives them their strength isn't the reprieves, isn't the Pathfinder's Blade, although those cards are incredibly strong. It's actually that Province Row. Because, like, the amount of inefficiencies that you have to go through to attack into Dragon. Now, this is for most clans. Some clans don't give a shit. Like, Scorpion doesn't really give a shit. But for most clans, you have to bid outside how you normally bid. You have to not put Fate on guys.
Look.
It's really, really
Look,
hard.
there we go. Karada District has turned up. Hooray!
Yep, on a broken province, and when 2 rebuilds have already been spent. Sweet.
Multiple, and 2 rebuilds have already been spent, and also a lot of the reprieves and high priority targets for Karada District have already been used.
Do we know
Guess
what's
you get a figure
under
of
what's under the box here? Have you looked at the deck? I haven't looked at it.
For Crab is we have Rally. I would imagine it'll be Rally.
Okay, so we're gonna see a poke then from Mind'sDesire.
Yep. Although, to be fair, like, yeah, God.
Watching this go down and like I just think to myself, how would this have been different if he had Karada from turn 1?
No.
And it just changes the entire game, doesn't it?
Yep. He got his Satoshi, couldn't fish for the Karada.
But that's the thing. Like, Dragon really doesn't have any matchups where it has to change the way it plays. Really.
Yeah.
Apart from the one example is Crab when they flip an early Karada. But, like, the Dragon deck, it really is a Rolls Royce, just like the Scorpion deck is, where you have a set game plan and you just execute it.
So, I mean, does it matter if it's a military or political conflict here?
He's just going to go all in.
Yeah. Well, not quite all in, it looks like. Here we go.
Okay, so he's going to he's threatening the break militarily.
Yeah.
With covert. Okay,
no.
yeah, he's just gonna go all in.
Going military and
because Sumiko can still hit him again with a second conflict.
Yes. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. So even if it's changed to political, that turns on the investigator ability.
He's got so much political skill, man. He's got 3 fans in play.
Actually, the investigator ability won't be able to be used, right?
Yeah,
you have to.
It's a little questionable, actually, sending that investigator.
Yeah, because you got to spend a fate.
Like, the Crab's never going to flip this, so it's only adding 1 military skill. But maybe he's done the maths and he needs the extra 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
So he played both of these skirmishes this turn, right? So he's got 3 coverts.
Yes, both Borderlands defenders and Mia Satoshi. So the Watch commanders are out of this battle. I think 2 rebuilds you said have been used, so potentially a 3rd rebuild, of which there are 3.
Yep.
might mean that we'll see the favourable ground to pull in probably Satoshi, I guess.
I think
Or
at this point this game is going to be. I guess yeah. I mean you can assign the Guardians and then he does flip it to political.
He's flipped it to political, and there actually was a fate. I apologise. So Mind'sDesire will be able to use Investigator, and no doubt that'll be his first action.
And we see a Watch Commander hit the table.
So we're looking at a casual 23 political force versus Pimittens defensive 3. So there's only a 20 differential at the moment.
All right, so we see if 2 Fate Worse Than Deaths, 2 Assassinations, charge, I can swim.
So Fate Worse Than Death can't be used because he's only got 3 Fate.
2 Mountains.
Charge is no good.
He gets rid of the Fate Worse Than Death, okay.
Yeah, I think at this point, like that's unfortunately, I think most of that hand's dead, right?
I mean, yeah, you don't get rid of the Assassinations simply because he's got 2, but that Assassination's going to do some work here. He's going to kill... Okay, so he has Way of the Crab. This is just to get another card. And another Fate.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to replace the Fate. It's just to draw a card, right? He's trying to fetch. Court games on Investigator. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Man, congrats to Mind'sDesire for another well-executed victory. And commiserations to Pimittens. A very successful deep run, top 8. That was a fun one to watch. Something that I take away from this game is that dragon sort of steamroll. It felt like a bit of a steamroll. And I looked at the cards he was drawing and stuff, and I actually think the draw was pretty typical. And that's what makes the deck so good, is that even on a typical draw, you get these games where you can just blow people out.
So consistent.
Yeah, it's so consistent.
I think the 2 swordsmiths, it can't be understated how potent it is to get those 2 extra cards every turn that are attachments, that are synergized.
Yeah, they're the cards you want, the exact type you want.
Yeah, amazing.
All right, well, thanks for joining me, Simcoff. That was a good one. And I'm sure we'll get some more done soon for you guys in the stream. So thanks for watching. And we'll look forward to seeing the rest of the tournament play out. It should be a good one.
Mind'sDesire will go on to play the winner of Doji Mika's Crane and Jokingly's Crab. So
it's a tough match.
It's going to be a great top 8 match. And then that semi-final, Mind'sDesire versus either of those 2 players, it's going to be, again, incredibly highly intense, highly skilled play. So very excited to watch that one.
Yeah, it should be great. All right, thank you, man. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.
Catch you later, mate.